I am so excited. I'm just really grateful for everybody for tuning in today, as always with these events. Super excited to dive into this event to learn all about how to excel at mentorship, both in and out of your team. So just a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and your journeys. And these intimate educational sessions like today that are always filled with insights, thanks to your fellow members, are really the perfect opportunity for us to uplevel together. So before we officially kick off, I just want to share a little bit of background information on our esteemed experts today. Dzhuliana Nikolova and Natalie Robinson are the founders of OneUpOneDown. It's a mentorship-focused network that facilitates trusted relationships between women in business and technology. Dzhuliana has a diverse career background, beginning with her career with a master's in architecture before she transitioned into tech, software, and product development. Her work and her passion focuses on education technology, women entrepreneurship and leadership, AI, and neuroscience. Natalie's career spans finance, startup development, deep tech, entrepreneurship, and marketing. Her passion lies in building companies to create opportunities and solve problems that she feels deeply passionate about. Dzhuliana and Natalie came together through mentorship and have dedicated the past 3 years to connecting women all over the world through short-term, near-peer mentorship relationships. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Dzhuliana and Natalie. We are just so excited to learn from your expertise today, and we know how valuable your time is, and we're just very grateful to you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers Collective in this way. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you. You can share screen and get everything going.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us, and thank you for everyone that's here for joining us for this session. So I'm actually wondering, since we have a small enough group, it would be really interesting to, before I get into the presentation, to learn a little bit more about who's here and your experience with mentorship. Whether you've so maybe if how I would love to just actually go around and hear a little bit if you've been a mentor or mentee before, or if you haven't. So is that all right? Are we happy to do that?
Yes, and Natalie, there are a couple folks who aren't on camera, but who are here as participants, so they're here too. So just wanted to name that. But yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, perfect. So maybe just if you're able to jump on. So is it Morgan? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Morgan. There's
Morgan.
Extra letters for the telemarketers.
Nice.
So I started my business by getting into a mastermind and having that mentorship relationship with the coach, and then the peers was absolutely instrumental for starting my business. And then I've done a couple of other masterminds that have had, sort of that coaching mentorship element in it. And then on the flip side, I now have a team of 5. And so I've been, trying to develop them and mentor them. And everyone who comes into my team has a theoretical working knowledge, but not like hands-on knowledge of the industry. And so I do a lot of training in that regard, in mentorship, and like how this actually works in practice versus in theory.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Lisa?
Hi there. Similar to Morgan, I've been in various programs like a mastermind, and I've had various coaches and things like that. But I don't know, it kind of depends on, I suppose, how you would define mentorship. And I'm hoping to learn more about your definition of that right now. I do run a team currently, so that is something that I am mentoring other people every day.
Great.
Both within my team and other people in my industry. So I'm looking for a lot of great information here. I'm excited.
Yeah,
thanks.
Thank you so much. So I'm not sure if Tiffany, Jessica, or Sherry can jump on. If you can, maybe just unmute yourself, and I'll just wait a minutes for a moment. And if you can't, we'll just go ahead.
This is Tiffany. I can go. I previously worked in the corporate world where they had more formal mentorship programs. And then I think since moving into full-time entrepreneurship, it has been harder to find mentors. And I do find myself serving in more of a mentor role, and then I guess having like peer mentors and being parts of different communities.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Hey, Jessica here. I can go. I work in the tech industry, and weirdly, I feel like I was set up to mentor when I first got into the industry when I was really young. And now that I'm, in further into my career, I find myself wanting to get the mentorship that I don't feel like I received when I was younger. So I feel like I have this backwards journey with mentorship.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And Sherry, are you there? Maybe. No. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I really like to ask that question because mentorship does come in various different forms, and people have different experiences of it. So I like to understand where people are at, so I can sort of know what information is most relevant to share. Okay. Perfect. Let me share my screen. Share. Can you see my screen all right? Cool. Okay, so we're here to talk about how to excel at mentorship inside and outside your team. Mentorship is a really big topic. So I'm going to do my best to share some of the key learnings that we've had through what we do at OneUpOneDown. We've already had a wonderful introduction, thank you. But so just Dzhuliana, my role at OneUpOneDown is co-founder and CEO, and Dzhuliana is co-founder and CTO. And we really started OneUpOneDown to solve our own challenges, and then also because we had a remarkable experience of mentorship, which is what brought us together. So, and specifically for OneUpOneDown, we focus on creating mentor matches for women in business and technology. And for both of us, we come from a background in very male-dominated industries, and neither of us had female mentors before coming together through the process of OneUpOneDown. Dzhuliana and I actually first met because she was one of the first woman to sign up to start using OneUpOneDown, and I mentored her on the topic of communication while also receiving mentorship from a woman who is now our advisor on communication. And so through that process, Dzhuliana and I built this deeply trusted relationship that's the foundation for what we do at OneUpOneDown, and is a real testament to what mentorship can enable for collaboration and leadership and just personal growth. So for both of us, this last 3 years has truly been a transformational journey in terms of our own learning about how to receive and give mentorship, and also witnessing the journey of the women who are receiving mentorship through OneUpOneDown. Oops, next. Okay, so I was just going to start with talking about why mentorship is important, and some of this you might know already, but the why is always important. So because for us, OneUpOneDown is really about forming relationships, forming trusted relationships, and the form in which we do that is mentorship. And mentorship is such an important practice, not only because of the direct benefits you can receive from being mentored by someone who understands more about a situation than you do, or mentoring someone, giving someone advice. There's also a bunch of practices involved in mentorship that relate directly to leadership. And so the practice of mentorship is foundational for developing leadership skills. But many women don't put themselves forward as mentors because they don't think they have enough to offer. We see this time and time again through OneUpOneDown when women sign up as mentees or even as mentors, and there's so much hesitation about whether their experience is enough. And this is from women who have our mid-late career. They have amazing experience. They have the most amazing perspectives, but they still don't feel like they have enough to be a mentor. And I think this is a reflection of the challenges that we see in the workplace generally about women not putting themselves forward for jobs or not pursuing their ambitions because they feel that they're not enough. So we're really passionate about encouraging more women to become mentors so that they can step into this role and gain the confidence and skills that come with it. But by realizing that they have enough, they're exactly what they have is perfect. They just need to find the right person to mentor. And also a really low portion of women have mentors. So this statistic is the number of women who have had mentors in their career. So that's across their whole career. Only 37% of women have had mentors in their career. So mentorship is something that you should always have access to. We believe you should always have a mentor, and if you can, mentor others. So our mission is really to give women access to mentorship on an ongoing basis. So what we're going to cover in this time together is a little bit more about the foundations of mentorship, why it's so important, what creates an effective mentorship relationship, and then also touch on the mentor mindset. So that's based on what we've observed of the practices that set someone up to be able to mentor anyone. And then we'll have a bit of time for Q&A at the end. I've received some really good questions already that we can go through, and then we can have it answer any questions that you have at the end. But please feel free to post your questions in the chat as we go as well. And Nicole will read them out when it suits. Okay, just give me a moment. So at OneUpOneDown, mentorship is really our bread and butter. Mentorship is our business. It's what we think about all the time. It's what we focus on. It's what we're building a product on around. And as I said earlier, our mission is to transform learning through relationships. So we are really looking at how we can create an innovative solution to form relationships that change someone's life within 3 months. And we study all elements of the mentorship, how matches are made, the behaviors that create a great match, and then what the evolving needs of mentors and mentees are, so that we can continue to develop our product and offering to support our end goal is to have everyone in the world have access to mentors, and really to have everyone in the world understand the way of being that is mentorship. And so we have over 1,000 women signed up to OneUpOneDown. We've made over 300 matches, and we've spent a lot of time assessing what makes a great match. So there's some amazing data on why mentorship is so effective. It's actually mind-blowing. If you can compare it to other career development tools, that it's really a no-brainer. So in a study conducted by Sun Microsoft Systems, they studied 1,000 employees over 5 years who were either mentored or not mentored to see what the results were. And the results of the study were that mentors are 6 times more likely to be promoted compared to their co-workers. 6 times. Mentees were 5 times more likely to be promoted than those without a mentor. And 87% of mentors and mentees said their mentoring relationship made them feel more empowered and assisted with a more prominent sense of confidence in themselves. So it's truly a underrated, amazing tool for advancing not only career development, but also the sense of well-being. So we spend I guess the realization that we've had and what we're really trying to change is, when we think about learning and the institutions that we have around learning, they're really about content. You go to school and you learn content from a teacher, or from one teacher. You go to university and it's about studying the content and relaying your understanding of the content. But what really has the greatest impacts on our lives and our ability to get ahead is our relationships. And so we learn such a huge amount through relationships. It's just the way that we're wired as humans. We're always absorbing, and often a lot of the time it's not even conscious, it's unconscious, observing ways of being and ways of behaving and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable and what's valued and what's not valued through the people that we have in our lives who influence us. And so we inherit those relationships through our family, through our upbringing, through our jobs that we've been in. But what mentorship is really about is proactive mentorship is taking control of those relationships and surrounding yourself with the people who you want to, who have the qualities and traits that you want to absorb yourself, that you want to take on. And so this requires, an appreciation and value of mentorship, and prioritizing it as something that you must have within your life. And when we try and talk about mentorship, like the attributes of it and what it means and how it's done is there. It's so innate that it's sometimes difficult to define. That's why I love this gift, because that's exactly what it's like osmosis, the effects that other people have on our lives, and what a mentor-mentee relationship can do. A lot of it you don't even realize it's happening at the time that it's happening. So, but it's important to recognize it so that you prioritize it as something that you have in your life. And it's not just about the people we are learning from. So when people think about the value of mentorship, they think about the value that you can gain from a mentor. But we've found, this has been one of the surprising learnings that we've had, is that mentors get as much value from the experience of mentoring somebody else as mentees get from the experience of being mentored. And there's a number of reasons why this is. Well, firstly, because it feels good to help others. That's the obvious one. But the less obvious reasons is because mentors can realize themselves through the process. So they realize the value that they have to offer. They realize what they've learned. They can see someone receiving their perspective and then taking action. And that does a lot for having the mentor to gain confidence. And it also, particularly for women, helps to overcome imposter syndrome. So within those relationships, you start to realize the value that you have to offer, and that flows through to other areas of life too. So in your workplace, for example. And so we constantly get feedback from mentors about how surprised they are about the experience that they gained, which is just so wonderful. It's just such a mutually beneficial form of relationship. So through the practice of mentorship, there a lot is gained, but you can really approach mentorship as a conscious practice, so that you're always, as a mentor, thinking about how you can, viewing the relationship, how it played out, what you might be able to get better at. So there's constant sort of iterative process of getting better as a mentor, and it's you get quite a fast, direct feedback loop, because you've got and through OneUpOneDown too, because you get feedback from your mentee, which can help you to improve. But you can it's a really great container to observe how you behave in that role. And by doing that, you can learn to become a better listener. You can learn to become a better asker. And this is particularly if you're a mentee, asking for what you really want, and practice being open in relationships to talk about what's really going on. You can become more confident. You can learn how to build productive and fulfilling relationships. And ultimately, these relate directly to becoming a better leader. Okay. I just had a big coffee before this. It's really early here in New Zealand, so now I'm having to drink some water. So there are many forms of mentorship, and mentorship can be informal. It can be informal. It can be a one-off engagement. It can be a long-term engagement over years. How we've done it at OneUpOneDown, we have a very specific form of mentorship, and the way that we've created it and what we've had to optimize for is we knew that we wanted to create trusted relationships. And so for us, the problem that we were solving is that, women want to talk about these specific experiences that they're having. They want to understand how they, they're looking for validation around how they're wanting to lead that they're not getting within their organization. And they're also, the conversations and what they were seeking required them to be quite open and vulnerable. So we knew that we needed to create trusted relationships. And so they couldn't just be one-off meetings. One-off meetings, there are a lot of forms of mentorship where you can log in and you just can select a mentor. That can work really well for specific advice, and you can have mentors that are just there for specific advice, because it's a short period of time, you share a problem, they share the answer. But we wanted a relationship to be built so that it was more a process of self-realization and discovery through the relationship. So to do that, we structured our mentorship program as being 3 months with 4 meetings. So when mentor and mentees are matched, they work together over a 3-month period, and they have 4 meetings within that time. And we only make 1 match at a time. And that match we propose based on the data that we take into consideration from the mentor and mentee. And that's because we also realize that people aren't that great at self-selecting their mentors. There's a lot that goes into understanding the experience that someone has. And it's not just their job title. Because often when people self-select, it's based on job title and image, actually. But there's a lot to take into consideration that can make a really effective match. And that's usually there's little shared stories, like overcoming a specific challenge. Maybe it's moving to a particular country or changing a particular career, or these little unique experiences that the mentor has that the mentee is about to go through. That's what makes the really good match. And it can take, for individuals to find that match, it can take a bunch of time. So we wanted to do that really well, which was what we've built our software for, and then just propose 1 match at a time. So the mentor can accept and the mentee can accept, and that creates the match. And we also wanted to, we recognize through our past experience that some of the best mentorship that we've received is not from people who are experts in their area, who have had, decades of experience and are at the top of their career. Often, actually, it's the people who are just a couple of steps ahead. So they've just been through the experience that we're wanting to go through. And that's important because they still have the experience for them is still close enough that they can not only share the specific actions that they took to overcome the challenge, they can also relate on an emotional side. So they're not detached from the emotional experience. And that creates a lot of space to really get into clearing that emotion. The emotional part is often what's really stopping us from going forward. So if you have someone that can understand it, they can really get down to where you are as a mentee and help you to work through it. It also opens up the number of mentors that's available too, because you're not just targeting people who are at the top of their career. It's anyone can mentor somebody else as long as they're just a couple of steps ahead. And I think that's a really important factor if you're looking for a mentor is, you don't have to look at someone who is the top of the top of the industry or many years ahead. Often finding someone who has just been through what you've been through, maybe they've spoken about it or they've posted about it or they've shared a story, reaching out to that person to form a mentorship relationship is a really great way to be successful in creating the relationship, and then also forming a lasting bond, because often those relationships evolve into friendships. And then so for OneUpOneDown, once the 3 months is over, mentors and mentees can be rematched with another mentor. So that's achieving the goal of always giving women access to mentors based on their evolving needs. And so we've got something that's working really well. We've had over 75% of women who have had a match have said it was life-changing. And it's just really based on the simple protocol of near peer, having someone who's a couple of steps ahead, and then just a structured match that is not so long that it drags out, but short enough, not so long that it drags out, but enough time so that trust is developed and built. So So there's just really 3 things that makes an effective mentorship relationship. Yeah, so that's that, and that we've been focusing on learning about these 3 areas and optimizing them to get better and better at being able to serve our users through OneUpOneDown. And so the first thing is the right match. And so they're actually really simple. Yeah, so it's right match. Right match is you have the right 2 people in the mentor-mentee relationship, and that's based on the shared experience. So does the mentor have a specific experience that they can enables them to relate to the position of the mentee? And so we consider professional experience, so the transition they've made in their job, and also their personal development journey. So are there things that the mentor has focused on becoming good at? And that might be communication, for example. Often it's our greatest often our challenges are also what we end up becoming good at, because we feel like they're a challenge because we've been focused on becoming it's an area of attention that we have focused on trying to become better at. So have they had challenges that they've overcome and become better at in terms of personal development? Or are there any life events that they've had that relate to the mentee? For example, changing career, returning from work as a mother. And then we take into consideration personality characteristics as well. So then there's the right structure, and that's agreeing a structure that can work between the mentor and mentee. Sometimes, so that's, we've also carried this through to how we get advisors for our business as well. And various other forms of input that we have as a company. So just making sure, just being aware that if a structure needs to be formed around the mentor-mentee relationship, that's established and agreed. And then the most important thing is the right mindset. So with the right mindset, a mentor can mentor anyone. And that's what we really want to teach, is how do you create a mentor mindset? So I think I've already gone over this. So the right match is the opportunities for mutually valuable learning exchange. And I guess the other thing I would add here is, if you're seeking a mentor, the mentors want to mentor people who they also feel that they can get some energy from. They don't want to feel like they are just giving. They want to feel like they can get something in return. And they get that from it being an interesting match, about there being that crossover between what the mentor has learned, has become passionate about, has become really interested in, and what the mentee is seeking. And so if you're independently trying to find a mentor and reaching out to potential mentors, positioning what you're seeking for in that way is really valuable. And then the right structure, that's enough time together to build trust. It's being mindful of setting agreements. So if it's a formal mentoring relationship, do you try it out for 3 months, or is there a structure that you need to put around it? And then when you have a structure around it, it creates focus and momentum. And that's one of the reasons why we have it as 3 months, is because it's like a sprint. You just have a focus on a particular outcome that you're trying to get through as a mentee, and for the mentor, they know what their role is, and it enables them to be more effective in their role. And with the right mindset, you can mentor anyone. Okay, so the mentor mindset. So this is there's no one way to mentor anyone. Everyone is uniquely different, and how we lead is uniquely different. How we mentor is unique. And so we've been really conscious of this with OneUpOneDown, of not prescribing how a mentor should behave or needs to behave. We give, there are agreements, and that's that as a mentor, you're committed to 3 months, 4 meetings. And then we give guidance around how mentors, how they can conduct their relationships, or how they can manage the meetings, and then we try and share best practices. So what we've learned works from more experienced mentors, what's worked for them, how they I think the role is of how they feel confident in their role, and how they really create those aha moments for the mentee. And so for some people that's more structured. So some people it's about creating some accountability for the mentee. That's sort of the easiest way. But then for others, it's much more open. It's like a way of being that the mentor has that then influences the mentee. And that's the part that we've really been exploring recently, is how the mentor can show up in a particular way that then opens up opportunities for the mentee to be open and to realize things about themselves. And we've been developing and sort of working out this content for the purpose of creating a mentor academy. And we have a wonderful advisor called Kathy Shreet, and she's been teaching us a lot of these practices that sort of create this relationship between mentor and mentee. So I'll share some of these things, what we've found, and I think I've tried to put in the topics that I think, well, for me, have been most eye-opening and a little unique from the traditional advice on how to be a mentor. And the first one is having the confidence to be a mentor. So that's just having the confidence to say yes to the opportunity. And knowing that the experience that you have at the moment is enough. You don't have to become anything more than what you already have. And that creates a sense of confidence in the role. And we see this when women sign up and we say, look, you've got this great experience, you are perfect, you're enough. And then it's sort of this feeling of, oh, okay, thank you. That's feels like validation, but that's the most important thing. And it flows through into your role, our roles in work too, knowing that you've got what it takes to do the role, or you have enough knowledge to mentor someone informally or formally, or give advice or share your perspective when the opportunity arises. So then the second thing is that's required of a mentor to be highly effective is clarity. Now, clarity is a state of mind. It's a sort of a way of being, and by being clear yourself, you create clarity for the person that you're mentoring or the people that you're in relationships with. And clarity, what it really comes down to is a lack of drama. And so that means a lack of drama means really sort of letting go of assumptions, expectations, sort of the fear, all the baggage that we can carry that clouds our ability to be present in the moment. And so when the role of the mentor in the relationship is really to come in with clarity and then help to create clarity for the mentee. And so then how do you get clarity? Well, that's a good question. That's a whole nother topic. But really for example, one practice that a mentor can have to create clarity is before the meeting is just breathing, taking some deep breath, letting go of the drama of what might be going on in their own life, focusing, and then just being aware that this time is to be present, to listen to the mentee. And by holding that space and coming in with that energy, then it creates an opportunity for the mentee to sort of relax and let the drama that they are perceiving sort of fade away, to then get to what's really going on, like what's really at the root of how they're feeling, or the challenges that they might be having. And so that's an ongoing practice that you can develop as a mentor and become really aware of through your meetings too. Like, you'll know when you feel like you were clear or that you had clarity, and could be effective, or when you didn't, and you can keep optimizing and becoming better at that. Then the third element is curiosity. So and curiosity really links to clarity as well. So curiosity is a way to gain clarity, and that's actively listening and asking questions to really understand the mentee's experience. And that's like truly that's the one practice that enables someone to mentor anyone, is if you can become great at asking questions, because often mentees have all the answers to their problems or their challenges. And it's the same in the workplace too. Often the people that you're working with, they have the answers. They are closest to the experience of what they're trying to solve, and so they just usually have the answers. It's just they need the space to really realize them. And so through curiosity is really about questioning without judgment. So it's not that you're asking to sort of guide them to what you think is best. It's not that at all. It's just truly asking with an open mind to sort of see what comes from the question. Then the fourth role or intention of a mentor is how to shift the person you're working with from intention to impact. So that's, and you do that through innovation. So that's, they have an intention to move into a particular role or to pursue something. There's some friction, which means they're not doing it. How can you unlock what's that friction is, so that they can take action? And that's actually the innovation is about the sort of the new ideas, the play, the new ways of doing the things, the new perspectives, like how could we do this? Or that's when you're deep in a challenge and you're sort of in tunnel vision as a mentee or someone that's in the midst of what you're trying to solve. Sometimes you forget about the play or the creativity or these the lightness that can really, really just flip how you're perceiving the problem. And that's what the mentor can bring, because they have an outside perspective, and also particularly if they've been through the challenge before, they might have new ways, new ideas for how you can potentially do things as a mentee. And so it doesn't need to be heavy, the role of a mentor. It can be, you can create a lightness by thinking in this way. So then the fifth point is when working with your mentee, you want to make agreements with them rather than setting expectations. And so again, this is really about removing judgment. So expectations are, you're expected to do this, and if you don't do it, you have failed, or it's sort of a negative outcome. Whereas, and also mentees can also, we're sort of trained in this way to sort of create expectations for ourselves. and so as a mentor, the aim is to try and create agreements with the mentee. And so that's the difference is an agreement is they are speaking to what they want to achieve, and then you make an agreement, and an agreement is a lot more weight. And it can be as simple as an example of a simple agreement is, okay, we'll meet in 2 weeks' time. We'll meet in 2 weeks' time. That's one agreement. We'll just agree to show up and spend an hour together and be present, and that's the basis of our agreement. Or another example of an agreement would be, okay, the mentee might want to, they create an agreement that they're going to do a particular thing by the 2 weeks' time. So, and then they do it. They made an agreement. There's no, if they did it or didn't, there's no judgment. It's just reframing it as there's no judgment as in there's no judgment of their ability or inabilities. It's more a matter of resetting agreements as you progress through the relationship. And then the last point is being willing to have the necessary conversations. And so that's, being willing to, when you, as a mentor, when you feel that there's when you get a sense for what's really going on, being able to ask the questions and hold that space where you're sort of speaking to the underlying truth of the matter. And that requires, it's not, I was going to say bravery, but it's practice, really. It's practice holding space for uncomfortable, what might be uncomfortable conversations. And you become much better at doing that when you don't have judgment, because then it just becomes about what it is, what the topic at hand is, not about what's right or what's wrong, or the emotional things that can come in as a result of creating judgment. And so these, being willing to have the necessary conversations is also a requirement of the mentee. So the mentee, the practice of the mentee is showing up and being open and honest about where you're at and what's really going on. And that when you can do that sets that as a practice within the relationship. And for a lot of us, well, for me, it took me a bit of time to really train myself to show up and be open and honest about what's going on, because I was so used to just saying, oh yeah, it's fine, it's good. And then talk in. So I had Kathy, who was my mentor actually for initially. So she really taught me how to drop into what's really going on, like to take a moment to pause, think about what's going on, and then just speak to that. And that means that the mentor can, when you do that, then it opens up the mentor to really speak to what's going on as well, to have those necessary conversations that are at the root of what we might be feeling. So that's sort of an introduction to some of the really interesting behaviors of a mentor that are a bit more holistic, but they are just then they relate to the way of being of the individual, but they are so valuable as a practice within relationships and also as an individual. So mentorship is a practice. It's kind of, actually, I really think mentorship is like mindfulness. Like mindfulness is what the time that you take for yourself to really check in and get sort of, it's a way of being that helps you to function as an individual and create space and perform well on an ongoing basis if you practice mindfulness. Mentorship is like that, but within interpersonal relationships. So it's something that you can always, it's a way of being that you gain, you become better at only through practicing, because it's so experiential. It's I've talked about some of the things that make the mentor mindset, but it really doesn't mean anything until you start practicing it. And it's hard to even comprehend the benefits and how it feels and what it can open up until you really start practicing it. And initially, when you start practicing it, like with anything new, we're usually not that great at it, but you become better and better the more that you do it. And that's both as a mentor and a mentee. And that, that's what we're really trying to create at OneUpOneDown, is this culture of continuous development through mentorship as individuals, mentors and mentees, and then also as how we, enter into as mentors and mentees, and also what we're achieving in life, that we're getting the support that we need to do what we want in life. But the practice of mentorship that we gain relate directly to that factor of being a leader in those positions as well. So we actually today just launched our new product. Hooray! So Dzhuliana has been working tirelessly with over the last 3 months, but in particularly over the last week, to launch our new web application. So we've got awesome new features for making matches and how mentors and mentees can engage. And we've got a Mentor Academy coming soon. And so today is the day that we go live. And so there's no cost to sign up. So we welcome you to join if you'd like to, and we would love to get your feedback, good, bad, ugly. So if you're willing to do that, we'd really appreciate it. Cool. Okay, so we actually don't have a huge amount of time for Q&A, but we think we've got 10 minutes. So we'll open it up.
I just tried signing up and it says it's supposed to send you a confirmation email, and it hasn't, and it won't let me log in. So I just want to give you a heads up since you're in traffic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that's not a great start.
Well, it takes like just 36 seconds. You should get an email.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate you signing up. So did that resonate with you? Did it sort of address some of the questions that you had, or give you some more insights into mentorship and what it's about? And yeah, well, I'm interested to hear how that landed, and do you have any questions?
That was a great presentation. Thank you. I just had a question about how the matches are actually made. So is there, a detailed intake form, or how does that happen once you sign up and you want to be matched with somebody?
Yeah, great. So yes, there is. So when you sign up, there's an onboarding process, and we collect information about, so if you're a mentor, it's about your current experience, and that's areas of your professional development, and then also some of the personal development areas that you feel that you have a lot of experience in. And then as a mentee, we collect information about the desired experience, so what you want to gain in terms of your professional development and personal development. And then we've built a machine learning model that then takes into consideration the data across the whole network of users and proposes the best possible match based on, so it uses probabilities to predict the one that they think will be the best match.
And would you recommend signing up as a mentee first, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. So you can sign up as both mentor and mentee at the same, and that's what we recommend. That's actually why the idea One Up, One Down, that's the name, is that you're receiving value and giving value, and that's the state that we encourage people to go for if they are able to, and feel confident to be a mentor, which you all would be wonderful mentors. I hope that this message landed, that you have enough experience, that's for sure.
Natalie, we had Morgan wrote in, I'll just in case you don't have the chat pulled up, she just mentioned that she really liked the point about finding mentorship opportunities with people who are a couple steps away from you. And that made a lot of sense. And then she did have a question about what the questions were from the sign-up form.
Oh, I'm curious what the questions were from the sign-up form. Well, we asked, there's quite a few questions actually. So we ask, and that's what we are continuing to build out. So the questions are around, we call them tags. So you select your professional tags, that's the area of your career. So it might be, product, marketing, sales, the specific areas that you have experience in as an industry or want to gain experience in. And then we ask questions about the personal development side. So that's we have just actually 5 key tags for that, and that's is broken down into confidence, communication, purpose and direction, productivity, and there is one other which I can't recall at this time, but you select three out of those 5 that you feel that you have most experience in or are looking to gain experience in. And then we also ask more questions about industry, like the company size, the service type, so is it product, service, agency, that type of thing, because we found that companies and their culture operate quite differently depending on the stage that they're at, the size that they are, what their product is. And so how people are trying to optimize their behavior and how they think is quite determined on the industry and the stage of the industry that they're in. And then, so we also have a 15-minute call with everyone that signs up. And in that 15-minute call is where we collect more specific information about anything that they're wanting to go through. So that's like the transition that they're trying to go through, any specific information that we think would create that unique link between mentor and mentee. And so at the moment we've been doing that on calls and then feeding that into how we make matches. So we're looking at how we can build that into the platform with more specific questions about movements people are trying to make or movements people have made, and then also personality related data too. So how people are motivated, how they make decisions, how they communicate, so that we can make matches on that basis as well. So where we're going with OneUpOneDown is having much more dynamic input, so that we know more about for the mentee, for example, we can learn and share with them areas that might be really relevant to them to get mentorship in that they might not have even realized themselves.
Natalie, I just wanted to chime in with one question, because you mentioned in the mentor-mentee relationship that there's that give and take, there's that exchange piece, and that oftentimes it's just sort of the energy that the mentee brings to that conversation that can be such a return for the mentor. And I think that personally, I have seen so much in the conversation around mentorship, that as someone who's pursuing a mentor, that you want to come to that relationship with something to give. You don't just sort of want to only take. And so I just was curious, any other thoughts that you had around mentees coming to that mentor relationship with who want to give back to that, but aren't quite sure what their value might be in that, especially in this near peer, which is a term that is totally new to me. So I just think that that's fascinating. Like, any thoughts that you have on that?
Yeah, that is such a great question. Yes. So I think the first and foremost is honesty and vulnerability. Like, we all just are craving real connection. Like, we're so deprived of it, which is crazy. That's the first thing is, people, as a mentor, you want to feel like you're truly making a difference. And if you feel like the mentee is pretending or playing a role, then you can feel that you're not really getting to the heart of the matter. So sometimes, that's happened quite I've experienced that a number of times. And I know it's just a matter of the men, we're all sort of trained in our careers to project a particular image, and that's that we have to have it together, we have to be professional. And so then you can enter into mentor-mentee relationships like that, and then it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel like you're really getting to the truth of what's going on for the mentee. And so you don't feel like you're really making a difference. And so for the mentee, you can, if you can get good at, so I've through mentorship become really good at being able to speak to exactly how I feel at the time, but I wasn't always like that, that's for sure. So you can have a practice that helps you to become better at speaking to what's really going on. And journaling, for example, was great at that. And maybe it's just even before the mentor meeting, taking some time to really center and then check in as a mentee, like, what's really going on, like what's the challenge, how do I share the challenge that's going on for me, so that we really have so the mentor has as much information about what's truly going on, so that they can share from their true experience. So, and then it's respecting the mentors. It's being respectful of the time too, and then making sure that you're creating agreements within the relationship that you will deliver on, or it's okay to not deliver on it. It's not deliver, it's not the right term. It's like to action or to not action. But as long as if you don't action it, you can explain, I didn't action this because I realized after our meeting that actually that wasn't what I really wanted to do. But having that conversation made me realize that this is what I really wanted to do. So that's what I'm going to do. And so then you give that feedback to the mentor, and that's when they realize, okay, yeah, I gave something that I realized I created something that's valuable for them through what I was able to offer. And that's the loop. That's the loop of value exchange. So it's actually just your experience as a mentee that gives value to the mentor because they feel that they have created value.
So interesting. I love that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. Any other questions before we're like right on the hour? We're so on time. This is great, but I don't want to cut off anybody from asking a follow-up question. So I'll just give it another couple seconds. I'm going to do just my little wrap up, but if anything pops up for anybody, please feel free to either pipe up and interrupt me or pop into the chat in the next couple of seconds. But I do just want to thank so much Dzhuliana and Natalie for their time. This was so wonderful, so insightful and helpful. And also congratulations on the launch today. So exciting. And I also just want to drop our little feedback form into the chat here. So this is anonymous and helps us so much to just continue to improve, provide our members with insightful conversations that are helpful to them. So I'll drop that there. And then I will also drop our event submission form if anybody is interested in applying and sharing a submission to host their own event. So just wanted to pop those into the chat, but that's it for today. So I will go ahead and wrap up, but thank you both so much for your time. And thank you everyone for showing up and sharing your thoughtful questions and just having this be such a highlight in the day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.